We are on location. Sports Talk coming your way live out here in Las Cruces. Great to be back for the next 2 hours. And our brand new home today is Elephant Ranch. That's right, the Elephant Ranch Bar, which will be hosting a very special New Mexico State tequila launch in a few hours. 3995 West Picacho Avenue. This is where we are today. Tepazon Tequila and New Mexico State have collaborated. And Adrian, it's great to be back in Las Cruces. Great for you to also be on location with us. First time you have the opportunity to be a part of the show live out here with the Aggies.
Yeah, this is awesome, Steve. I'm so happy to be out here. I mean, look, we got Tony Sanchez leading us off for New Mexico State football, and it's going to be a lot of fun to just kick things off and be out here in Las Cruces. We were just saying it on the drive over here. It's beautiful out here, and Elephant Ranch, they've been great hosts for us so far. We're going to get a chance to try some tequila, get a chance to party a little later. We heard that the Pistol Pete Band will be out here as well. Right. So a lot of fun that's going to be happening out here in Las Cruces.
No, it's terrific. And as we mentioned, yes, the first – it's so weird. Calling you a first-year head coach at New Mexico State, look, you've played here. You've been an assistant here. It's basically home for you, Coach, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's so good to be back here. And, coming here 2 years ago with Jerry and helping to revive the program and get it rolling again, and then now having a chance to take over the helm and, keep this thing going, it's a blessing. I'm excited about it, and it's New Mexico State's been very good to me.
Tell me what brought you here in the first place as a player back in the mid-'90s.
I played at Laney Community College in Oakland, California. And Sean and Sam Manuel were teammates of mine. They ended up both getting drafted by the 49ers, identical twins in the same draft, And they came here the year before. So when the recruiting process started off, I was really close with those guys. And after coming up here and taking a trip, it just felt like a great fit. My stepfather's from El Paso, Texas. So I'd been there. He's a Burgess High graduate. And so I knew about the area and stuff, and again, it just all worked out.
And as far as your 2 years as a player here, what were those like for you?
Oh, fantastic. I played with Cody Ledbetter, one of the greats of all time, great player, Denvis Mann, rushed for 1,000 4 years in a row. Just made, lifelong friends. I mean, that's the great thing about college. These young men get a chance to get away from home, go to a place that's a little foreign to them, get familiar with it, you develop lifelong relationships, and absolutely loved my experience here. Definitely fell in love with the place.
You come back with Coach Kill, and you're a position coach at receivers, and now he leaves. You get the opportunity and a chance to get back into the head spot for the first time since you were at UNLV. Yeah,
again, it's a blessing. You work really hard in some of these turnaround jobs, and sometimes you get out of there unscathed, and sometimes you don't. So, but life's about experience. I don't care what you do for a profession. You're gonna be better the more experience you have. So again, having that experience, at UNLV, having a chance to go work for Gary Patterson at TCU, being with Coach Kill the last couple years, I feel like I'm better than I've ever been.
Having the experience of being a player, knowing this community and coaching here, how would you characterize the Aggie fan base out here in Las Cruces? Because, last year in that historic run, it seemed like they really jumped on you guys in a big way.
Yeah, this is a football team. I used to coach at Oñate High School back in the day, helped win a state championship in 2001. But I remember the Mayfield Cruces games, and we'd go to those games, and oh my goodness, those things were rocking and packed. And so this place is a football town at its core. It's just we've had some hard times here. We've had a couple of blips and some decent seasons, and I think the last 2 years kind of revived it. Gave everybody a sense of hope, and then now it's a sense of like, hey, let's make this the expectation. Let's go win games, and it's a great place in this crazy day and age too. Las Cruces is a great place to live, great place to send your kid to go to college, great place for a young man to come and, hone in on his skills. It's, we're close to the city, but we're away from it, we're removed, and it's a real college town, and I think it's been outstanding.
Head coach Tony Sanchez with us. I'll tell you what, the facilities are terrific. We had a tour earlier of the groundbreaking, they call it the Big Hole. Yeah. It's going to eventually be hosting everything for you. You're going to have an opportunity to have locker rooms there, showers there, meeting rooms. It looks like first class all the way, and I'm sure for you that can't be completed soon enough, knowing what that'll do for your current roster as well as for recruits.
It's huge. These young men deserve that. You wish the guys the last couple of years would have had a chance to be in it, but, they paved the way for it. And as we recruit, it's a big thing. You want to know that the place cares about football. And, my hat's off to Mario Mocha. We've won a lot of games the last couple of years, but if you think about how he addressed coaching salaries, how he addressed helping us feed the team. He put his money where his mouth is. People talk about wanting to win, but they don't really invest in testament. I think Mario's done a phenomenal job of investing in the program. And like you said, we got a brand new practice field last year, brand new game field, got a brand new scoreboard that's already in there right now. We got a new facility getting ready to open up. So, we continue to win. We got to get to that third bowl game, right? First time in 130 some odd years. We get that done with the new facilities coming. I think we got really great days continuing ahead of us.
We talk a lot about how recruits, this really matters to them, right? The facilities, the upgrades, what you have in your locker room, what you have on your scoreboard, things like that. Why does that why is that so important for younger guys? We've talked about this a lot recently, too.
There's no doubt. I mean, it's I used to laugh about it when I was at Gorman. We had all those guys going on to big-time places and then had a chance to be at UNLV, and we really had really dilapidated facilities and, built one there. And, the thing about it is these kids come in on a 48-hour trip, and they're making a lifelong decision, and a lot of times it's just done in kind of in a vacuum. They're doing it, based on things, and these relationships are involved. But, nowadays with the transfer portal and the high level of recruiting, the amount of kids you bring in every year, you've got to be able to show them that, like, hey, we don't need more than everybody else, but we don't want to have less either, and we've had less for a long time.
All right, so you're a couple of weeks in now to fall practice. Give us a little idea of how things are going so far. We've looked at this roster. You've got players back. You've got guys that are going to be starting this year that maybe didn't start last year but have experience. You've got JUCO transfers. You've got guys from the portal. And you've got a very deep running back room, don't you? We
really do. And, it's funny. I mean, those guys that, set the lines and stuff like that on college football, I don't know how you do it anymore with all these new guys on different rosters, I mean, we walk out there the first day of fall camp, and there's 30-some-odd guys that weren't even there in spring. It's like, wow. And that's more than we used to be able to bring in an entire recruiting class. Having said that, the portal works both ways. There's a lot of people that have a lot of heartburn with kids leaving, but, what they don't know is some of the great talent we brought in. The running back room, Mike Washington from Buffalo, outstanding player. I mean, he's just under 6'3", 227 pounds, sub, 1,100-meter guy. And, I mean, he's really good. He's really impressed the NFL scouts the last couple of days. Seth McGowan from University of Oklahoma. He's a really good player. He's done a great job for us. Amonte Watkins sticking around. I mean, those three guys, they're all different skill sets, but really talented. So excited about that. The offensive line coming back is probably the biggest thing. I mean, when you get punched in the gut, but to keep your entire two-deep offensive line back, that's good. You can lean on them. As we move forward, we try to break. I mean, big question for us is quarterback, right? So, you got, Deuce Hogan, Parker Wad, Santino Muriucci, these guys that they're battling. Well, to have those backs behind them, to have that offensive line, guys like Cordell David, some of those veteran receivers, Jordan Smith, there's a talented group around them, so that's really good. And then, on the defensive side, a lot of new faces. I mean, our defensive end and tackle room, there's 10 of the 15 guys are brand new. They never taken a snap for us before. But talented kids. Naki Fahina, who came over from UNLV, was a starter there. Guy that I recruited. He's going to be really good. Justin Beatles from the University of Houston, big, long, player. We've got some really good guys in there. So I'm excited about it. And Joe Morris has done a great job. Excited about bringing him in as our DC.
What are you looking for in a starting quarterback? Like, how do you see a separation there?
Well, really the biggest thing is you can't get, the expectations can't be too high too fast, right? I mean, you got to put them in as many competitive, tough situations as possible, see how they respond, see how they deal with it on a daily basis, and then all of a sudden you got to really elevate those expectations because you got to go win football games. So the biggest thing is, guys that, can think on the run. Guys, when plays break down, can extend plays. That was one of Diego's biggest things. It's one of the biggest traits I think you can have as a quarterback nowadays, extending plays. And just the ability to problem solve, that's the biggest thing. So these guys are all brand new here. We've got some guys out of the JUCO, some transfer guys, Santino beat Pitt last year as a starting quarterback. Deuce Hogan from the University of Kentucky, but not a lot of snaps. Parker Wad had a great year last year, but in JUCO. So, we just got to break all these guys in. But it's where we were 2 years ago with Diego and those guys coming in. So we just got to do a really good job of putting them in situations where they can be successful.
One of the things we've noted is we didn't even think Diego was going to make it a couple of years ago. And then there was a turning point where it's like you could tell the switch came on and he just took the ball and ran with it. So is that the toughest part, too, is realizing that even in the beginning of the season, it might take a little bit for whoever runs that offense to really get comfortable, start to click, and gain that confidence.
Yeah, there's no doubt. If you go back 2 years ago with Diego, and again, it was a battle. He wasn't the starter coming out of camp, and then he got it, and then he lost it again and went back and forth, and we know the career that he ended up having, right? Well, our expectations are different now. I don't know if we have that year one in us, as far as, we don't want that. I guess I should say that. We want to go out, we want to win football games. We want to get ourselves into a bowl game. So we have to do a really good job as a coaching staff of kind of, speeding up that process, We would like to be able to pick a starter, by week one. I think we can, but don't be shocked if we aren't playing two guys at different times. You're putting them both in there, and who those two guys are is still, up for a debate. So we'll be okay. We just got to go ahead. And the good thing is I think the talent group around that quarterback's much higher than it was 2 years ago. So there'll be a little bit of wiggle room working with them.
Speaking of talent, your running back group is really talented. Do you just ride the hot hand? How do you distinguish how to give carries with all these guys, or utilize maybe running backs in different scat back positions?
Well, the one thing here is even with all of our success, I think we only averaged 27 points a game last year. Our quarterback was our leading rusher. When you look back statistically, we never really gave a back the ball more than 10 to 12 times a game. We don't want to do that. We want a bell cow. So who's going to be that guy who's going to get it 22 times? The next guy behind him might get another, 12 or something like that. But we want to develop a guy that we can go ahead and, it's hard to be a back and know that, okay, I got 3 carries and I might not touch the ball for another 2 quarters, right? And that happened a bunch. I remember last year Monte Watson's has a great touchdown against Hawaii, and he didn't touch the ball for 2 more quarters. We got to really make sure we do a good job of feeding these guys. And, again, between Mike and Seth and Amante, I think we have some great options there, but they're going to have to compete their tails off to see who that guy is.
Tony Sanchez is the head coach of the Aggies. He joins us here on Sports Talk as we begin our show today from Elephant Bar here in Las Cruces. Other than Liberty, this league is wide open, really, because I've seen people say that you could say from 2 or 3 all the way down to 10 that it's anybody's race as far as who's going to have an opportunity to try to go bowling and have a chance to contend really for the top of this conference.
There's no doubt. Liberty definitely wins on paper, but the great thing is we actually play on the field, So, last year we had a tie game with those guys, late in the fourth quarter, and Sam Houston actually, had first and goal from inside the 5-yard line 4 plays in a row. If they just would have scored, they end up beating them. So they're beatable. It's going to be difficult. You're going to have to, ball's going to have to bounce your way. You're going to have to do some good things. But you're right. When you look at, this entire group in Conference USA, you look at the parity in the group. Again, a lot of new coaches. A lot of new faces on different teams. So, I think it'll take a couple weeks before we all kind of settle in and kind of see what everybody else has. But I'm excited about it, and I know we got as good a shot as anybody.
With Conference USA just as a whole from top to bottom, just the year 2 aspect of the Aggies being in it, how are you all adjusting to the geographic side of it? That's been, I think, a challenge for a lot of teams in CUSA.
Well, we got the perfect name because we truly are Conference USA. We're all over the map. We're Lynchburg, Virginia. You're in Miami. You're in Las Cruces. We're really spread out. So that's just something you got to deal with, but that's the entire country now. You look at the Big Ten now. You look at, really the SEC is probably the only regional conference left. So it's just, it puts more stress, I think, on the administration than it does us because they got to figure out how to pay for all of it. But it is what it is.
Meanwhile, you mentioned at the start of this interview that your wife's family has El Paso ties with Burgess High. You get the Miners the very last week of the season.
Yes.
I have said for years that if these two teams were ever in the same league, playing the final week of Thanksgiving makes a lot of sense. Take the rivalry and put it someplace where fans know every year it's going to happen that certain weekend. What are your thoughts on knowing you're in the season with UTEP, and is it something that you would like to see maybe become an annual tradition for these two schools in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it being our rivalry weekend. Again, hopefully we get to a point where we're both playing for something special. Makes it even bigger. And again, I know it intimately. I've coached it, one time before I came back here. Now the last 2 years and played in it twice, and it's a heck of a rivalry. So I'm excited about it. Our communities are so connected, so close. I think Thanksgiving weekend, you got all the families back in town and everything like that. It's going to be a 2 o'clock kickoff. I love that too. It not being a night game, kind of being a day game. I think that's really neat. Weather's great. Beautiful at that time of year. So, hopefully it's something that sticks.
You've got the best home schedule you could ever ask for also. Liberty, Western Kentucky, New Mexico, UTEP. if fans ever wanted a year where all their big games are going to be home games, this is it.
I'm telling you, if you love football, we've got a great brand of football going on here in New Mexico State. We have great opponents coming on in here, and I'm just really hoping that we're going to be rocking and rolling in those crowds, shaking those cowbells and getting everybody fired up. College football is awesome. What a great way to spend a day. You take the family out, tailgate, go in, watch a ball game. It's exciting. So, I'm excited for this community, excited for our players.
Great to have you here. Thanks for joining us, stopping by, making time, and we'll look forward to having you back on during the season, Coach.
Appreciate you. Go
Thanks,
Aggies.
Coach.
Tony Sanchez starting us off here on the program as we get going on this Thursday edition. When we come back, more including NMSU hoops. That's right. We're going to talk to one of the assistant coaches on the staff and get the lowdown on what to expect from the Aggies this upcoming basketball season. First, though, here's Charlie One, who has a traffic update for us.
My phone keeps going in and out. There it is.
All right, Alberto. All right, welcome back. 23 past the hour. We continue live from the Elephant Bar out here on Paso in Las Cruces, along with Adrian Broadus and Alberto Urueta back at our 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Property Schoolyard Sports Studios. I'm Steve Kaplowitz and Adrian. We just got done with NMSU football. Now we get the lowdown on Aggie hoops from one of the assistant coaches on the staff. We're lucky enough to have Payne Andrus here right now.
It's crazy is all we've been talking about, I feel like over the last 2 months, is like UTEP basketball. They've been in the Bahamas. They've done fall basketball. So now we got to catch up with New Mexico State basketball and get everything as far as the lowdown goes for Aggie basketball. So that'd be great here.
Absolutely right. Coach, welcome aboard. It's great to have you here. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. Yeah, congratulations on recently getting married. You've had a busy life off the court as well as you've had on the court, haven't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Had a busy summer. It's been a great summer, but very fortunate, very blessed. My wife is actually here today, so shout out to her for taking off work to get here.
That's great. Well, then she gets to watch you in action, which is always a lot of fun for us. We enjoy that. But more than anything, I think for us, wanting to hear how the summer's gone as far as Aggie basketball and really taking this program and trying to put together a roster that you feel can contend for a conference championship next March.
Yeah, first and foremost, the summer has been great. It's nice to actually have a summer where we've got the entire roster on campus. So that's a little different. When we took the job last year, we had our work cut out for us. Obviously adding 13 new players, and not many of those guys were able to make it in for the summer. Finishing up summer school elsewhere. Had some guys at this time last year. We were actually still recruiting. So to finish up the first week in June, like we did this year, to get everybody in for summer school, get 6 really good weeks of work in, it's been terrific.
How different is this summer compared to last? Last summer, you're kind of learning the lay of the land, right?
Yep.
This summer, it's now we're here. Now we understand the process.
Right.
It's time to put things in motion, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that first and foremost, it's like a breath of fresh air. You can say a sigh of relief in a sense because we're not recruiting until August 21st like we were last year. So, but to have everybody in, and we talked about it before the show, but to have at least some returners, right? We bring back 4 guys that have been in our program. They've been coached by Coach Hooten before. They understand the expectations and what the everyday process of being a part of Aggie basketball is like. So that's a breath of fresh air. We obviously got to take a lot of steps forward throughout the summer. I think we all looked at the end of the summer at kind of where the roster was at, where the team was at, and kind of everything that we had put into place. It's not everything that we wanted, but I think if you look at us a whole, from where we started to where we ended, just night and day in terms of our progress.
So, I mean, look, in a perfect world, you bring back 8 or 10 players versus 4, but you get a nucleus of at least a core group of guys that have been through it. You know where you can start building from there. Yep. So let's talk about really those 4 coming back, what they bring to the table, and then how you rebuilt the roster after all the players that you lost.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at the guys that we brought back, 3 out of the 4 played really, really significant minutes for us last year and had really key moments in the year for us in big wins. So you look at, Christian Cook, a guy that we brought in from the Division II level, just really watching his growth throughout the year, had a big year for us, had big moments, You look back at the Liberty game where he, sealed the game for us. I know a lot of fans remember that. The Jacksonville State game, games like that where he was just really, really big for us. Jaden Harris, a guy that we brought in from South Plains Junior College, kind of is. We talked about it from day one, but he's always been a guy that kind of embodies a Coach Hooten type of player, right? Really physical, strong, tough, can really guard. But on top of that, he's a shot maker. He had really big moments for us last year. He actually sealed the game at home in front of about 11,000 against Jacksonville State. So that was a really big moment for him. But and then on top of that, Robert Carpenter, who made big shot after big shot for us last year, had to play a lot of different roles for us. So I think something that we're really looking forward to for Robert this year is being able to add to his rebounding ability, because I think he can really do that, but was put in some kind of weird situations last year. And then finally, Chris BQ, a guy that we added at Christmas, unfortunately didn't get a lot of time on the floor due to injury. As soon as he stepped on the floor, he suffered a season-ending injury, but a guy that kind of, again, like Jaden, embodies that toughness and that everyday kind of guy that we look for in our players.
Is continuity a big thing for Jason Hooten coached program? I mean, just to have returning players in the mix and then throwing them in with some newcomers, is that a typical thing?
Yeah, I think for any coach in the country, you look across the country, everyone's looking for continuity, right? To have to teach 13 new guys every single year is exhausting, and it's difficult, right? You're not really hitting your stride probably until Christmas, early conference, mid-conference, right? So to have some continuity every single year wherever you're at is big, and I think that just to have 4 guys back for us this year is going to be really, really big.
Payne Andrews with us as we continue here on Sports Talk. So as I was looking over the roster, I noticed one constant. You guys have developed a pipeline to Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Yeah.
The last place in the world I would ever expect to look for basketball players.
Yeah, we're looking to actually update our logo. We're going to add the little maple leaf in there. So, no, it's been great. It's been a pipeline. I don't know if I'd say pipeline, but, those guys have been really good for us. You even look at our roster last year, Casey Iziagu, who was, look at all the guys that have played for Coach, and I think that's one of his all-time favorites. He was really good. And so we've had some connections up there. Obviously, we've had assistants that have had connections there. Coach Hooten's got connections. So, we've got some big fellas inside from up north.
I got to ask you more about Casey real quick, because he was at UTEP, so UTEP fans remember Iziagu. He goes over to Sam Houston and really grows into himself and kind of finds – we saw him at UTEP, and he was kind of this raw athlete down low, but you saw something there, and last year was kind of the culmination of that, right?
Yeah, Casey took a huge step forward. In fact, he shot me a text while I was on my honeymoon, and just thought he was thanking the entire staff for everything they had done. He's just an unbelievable kid on top of being a great player, and if you look at his numbers, he came to Sam Houston from Kansas State, and if you look at his numbers from Kansas State to Sam Houston and then to New Mexico State, they doubled all of his categories. So all of his percentages went up, all of his rebounding, points numbers. So, but that's a credit to him. He was an unbelievable worker, probably the hardest worker that I've ever been around as a coach. He was an incredible worker. We had to actually start backing him off because he was doing a little bit too much. So we had to keep him. He played career minutes, so we had to back him down just a little bit.
Yeah, I'll tell you this much: when you look at your current roster now, and I'm curious, Coach, one of the things we've noted that at this level here, especially in the transfer portal era, it's harder to get quality bigs than it is to go out and get yourself guards.
Right.
And we're just using that as a UTEP as an example. They're so guard heavy this upcoming season, and they really didn't bring in any bigs from after last season. Have you found that being the same challenge for you? Is it just tougher to get good bigs to come to power, to Group of 5 schools in the transfer portal NIL era than where it used to be?
I think there's just, you look across the country, the hardest positions, it never fails. At the end, Coach Hooten talks about it every year, but the hardest positions to get every single year are your bigs and your point guards, right? Because there's just a limited number of those true point guards and your big guys, right, that kind of check all the boxes. I think we're very fortunate to have found some big guys that we really, really like. A few of them had a really good summer for us, and we're really excited about them.
That's good. Now, if you look at guys that are going to be new to the program but could really have an impact this upcoming fall and winter, let's talk about some of those players, guys that maybe people don't know yet, but they will once basketball season starts here in November.
Yeah, I think the thing that you look for, obviously across the transfer portal, I don't know if there's ever a set recipe, a set formula, but we just kind of look at what we've been successful with. We kind of try to figure out, first and foremost, the character, the work ethic, all the intangible things that we look for in recruiting. But next, some proven guys, guys on proven levels. The Division II level has been really good for us. I think right now we kind of calculate, I think we're 3 for 3 on our Division II transfers, and we added a fourth this year in a point guard, Zodie Jackson, who was coming from us from West Georgia. He was a Division II All-American. I think averaged over 22 points a game, over 5 assists, almost had 50, 40, 90 splits.
Wow.
His team was a top 15 team in the country, so he obviously was part of a winning program. So, we like to recruit, again, from winning programs, guys that have been really coached and things like that. So, I think if you look at our guards and some of the guards we brought in, Carl Sharonfont's a guy that we added. That was our last addition. He came from us from Memphis. He was a highly recruited player out of high school. He was a top 100 player. Carl has been really, really well coached, throughout high school and throughout college, and we're really excited about him just in his just everyday intangibles that he brings to the table. Deontay Bostic, another guy, he's a proven scorer, comes to us from Cal State Northridge, a guy that averaged over 15 points a game on one of their best teams in years. So we're really excited about him. Peter Filipovich. If you read it, it's Filipovich, but it's pronounced Filipovich, and comes to us from Maine, a guy that not only scored it really well but also rebounded, at that forward position, a guy we're really, really excited about. And then inside, if you look at, we've got Edward Namoko, who comes to us from Georgia State. You got Emmanuel, the Shemanga brothers. We got Emmanuel and Nate, guys that we had actually had connections with in the past, and are both proven at the Division I level.
When it comes to this schedule and it's coming out, we've only seen a couple little leaks here and there. We're seeing Texas a lot, out there for New Mexico State.
Yeah.
What an opportunity right there to take on a non-conference opponent.
Absolutely. Coach Hooten, obviously, having the Texas roots that he does, I know that's really exciting for him. I'm also from Texas, so that's anytime you get to go back and play the University of Texas, that's exciting. So really excited to go down to Austin, and obviously Coach Rodney Terry does a heck of a job down there, and they've got a great program. So it's going to be a big challenge, but a great opportunity for us as well.
How close is your schedule to being finished?
Very, very close. Very close. I'm going to leave it at that. If the boss was here today, I'd let him talk a little bit more about it. But we're excited. I think you look at we've obviously still got the Conference USA WAC Challenge that we're going to have. We'll have 2 teams from Utah that we're going to be playing this year, so that'll be exciting. And then we've also got some other really exciting. We got some big Division I home games that we've got set on the table for us, and then some big road tests as well.
I was going to ask you. We know Texas is going to be a major buy game for you as far as road games go. Do you have any others lined up right now?
Yeah, Coach has got a few that he's working on finalizing right now, and he's kind of in the works. So I'll leave that to.
I've tried.
You tried.
Listen,
yeah, that's all right.
I am trying so hard to bait him, and he's not taking the bait, Adrian.
Coach, what about
doing
MTEs? Well. Could you say yes or no, thumbs up, thumbs down on MTEs?
We've got an MTE lined up, but again,
okay.
I'm gonna leave it at that one.
Well, hang on. Let's at least find out. Are you going to be playing the MTE in a tropical destination?
To my knowledge, no, but it could change. It could change. So I'll leave it at that. So yeah. Well,
is it a popular vacation destination?
You're really trying on this one. You're not going to let this go until I give it up. That's all right. That's all right.
We'll find it on Twitter.
Exactly. I'm sure Rocco has probably broken it some way somehow. Okay. As far as the rest of this league goes, give me your thoughts into the upcoming CUSA season. We've seen Liberty. We know UTEP last year, 10 and a half minutes away from getting in. Western Kentucky. Where do you kind of see the Aggies in terms of the big picture going into year 2 in CUSA?
Yeah, and I think you guys asked before the show, but thoughts on the league. This is a really, really talented league. Extremely talented, extremely athletic league, but on top of that, it's a really well-coached league. They're really, really good coaches, a lot of guys that we have a lot of respect for as a staff, and I think that if you look across the league, I think the league got better, right? A lot of teams returned a lot of players. UTEP brought a lot back. You look at Sam Houston State brought a lot back. You look at La Tech brought some really big key pieces back, and then the team that ended up going to March Madness, right? Western Kentucky may have back more than anybody. So the retention is going to be really big, for those schools. But also, I think even if you look at teams like Middle Tennessee, I think they were really good in the portal. I thought they did a really good job. And then other schools, I think you can't discount FIU, you can't discount Jack State, and then obviously adding Kennesaw State, who's going to be a really, really good team in our league as well.
It was so interesting last year was just the home and away discrepancy that you saw as far as record goes across Conference USA. USA. I mean, it speaks to what the league really is. It's scattered all across the nation, really. But how difficult was it to really go on the road, and also win on the road? Last year is just a team who was trying to do it in Conference USA.
Yeah, I think anytime you go on the road, it's going to be extremely difficult. And I think it's credited to a couple different things. Obviously, travel, but then also you factor in there's some really good home environments in this Conference USA league. And ours is at the top. We led Conference USA last year in attendance. Our fans are unbelievable, and it provided an incredible home environment for us. I think we were 12-3 at home last year, which is really, really big, and we look to continue to protect our home court, but we've got to get better on the road. We know that. But we have experienced guys who have played in big environments. You look at a guy like Deontay Bostic, who goes into UCLA last year and has 27 in a big win, right? And so we have guys that have experience, and hopefully that'll help us to be a little bit better on the road going forward.
Payne, before I wrap it up, what's it like getting a chance to work under Jason Hooten? Tell us a little bit about him and kind of how he ticks on and off the court.
Yeah, Coach is incredible. He has been really, really great to me and my family. He isn't the one word I'll say about Coach Hooten is he's consistent every day. He is an everyday guy, and that's how we recruit. We try to recruit everyday guys in our players. I've never seen him have a down day in terms of the energy and effort and just the work that he puts in. He's a tireless worker. I can't get him to even get away a little bit because he's still texting me on the phone. So he's great. His expectations and his attention to detail is unlike anything I've ever been around and worked for or played for. So very, very fortunate as a staff member, but also I know our players are extremely fortunate to be able to play for him and be pushed by him every single day.
Well, he'll be happy when he listens to this interview after we put it up on our on-demand format, because he'll hear the fact that I tried and we couldn't get you to bud. So he'll like that. He'll like that a lot.
At least I'll stay employed.
Yes,
okay, that's good.
You will definitely stay employed.
Loyal coach.
That's a good job. Payne, we appreciate it. Thanks for the time. Great to meet you, and congratulations on being a newlywed and joining us on the show as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
you got it. He's Payne Andrus, folks, assistant coach for the New Mexico State men's basketball team. We are about 40 minutes into our 2-hour show. We're live in Cruces out here at Elephant Bar, hanging out for the Amazon Tequila big release that's going to be happening later on this evening. More in a moment as Sports Talk continues at 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Talk. We are live. That's right, the show on location today here at the Elephant Bar. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you've never been out here, it is, I call it the Elephant Bar. It's the Elephant Ranch is what it is. Elephant Ranch, and it is a bar, and we are out here on the patio at Elephant Ranch. I'll tell you what's so great about it, too, is it is only one of two places here in Las Cruces where you can not only drink at the bar, but then buy bottles as well to take home with you. That's this is something that you just don't see a lot of, especially here. So it definitely makes Elephant Ranch a unique place to be at 3995 West Picacho Avenue here in Las Cruces, right by Picacho Golf Course. And Adrian, we're going to be here till 6 o'clock. So over the first 45 minutes, we just got the lowdown on NMSU basketball and football. And I'll be honest with you, we learned a lot because the two of us admitted before the show today we really didn't know much about either. But after Payne Andrus and Tony Sanchez, you feel a little bit better about what this program is going to be bringing as far as a competition here for the 2024-25 season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got the full rundown. We got the lowdown for everything. Football, men's basketball right now, which is great. We got the primer here. I'm very interested. There's a lot of things. I mean, number one, for the men's basketball side, curious to hear what that schedule looks like when it's all said and done. Seems like they've got some really interesting opponents, especially in that MTE that could happen. And then on the football side of things, a lot of position battles, Steve. They've got their offensive line intact, but New Mexico Mexico State has questions when it comes to the quarterback, who ends up being the primary signal caller, who ends up being the guy who gets the bulk of the carries at the running back spot. So a lot of really good battles going on right now in fall camp.
I'm excited for when Coach Andrews talked about his home schedule, because he mentioned some really big home games, and I'm thinking to myself, we know how hard it is up the road here in El Paso to try to get big home games, and how the Miners have not been able to deliver the quality opponents on a consistent basis that fans would love to see. So if New Mexico State ends up all of a sudden bringing a couple of big names in here, that would definitely send a message, I think, to a lot of fans over in El Paso.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of really good opportunities for them to, get some good home matches. But, I'd say this, just the travel itself makes it so difficult. So if they're able to do it, they're going to have the fans who are going to definitely be all a part of it, for sure.
Hey, it's been a fun start to the show so far. We're going to have a busy 5 o'clock hour. Mario Mocha is going to stop by at 5. We're also going to have Adam Young join us as well. Meanwhile, we were actually at the university in the Fulton Center earlier today, and we had the opportunity to visit with Mario, members of the team out at New Mexico State, and this man who hasn't been with us in a while. Matter of fact, the last time I think he was on the program, he was busting Lane Frank's chops, as he's done the last couple of times, but Lou Romano is here with us right now, and I'll tell you what, good to see you. And for you, this is, again, something people might not realize. You have been here in Las Cruces at New Mexico State for about the last 6-7 months now.
Yeah, I forgot where El Paso is, man. It's crazy, but it's been a lot of fun working in the marketing department up there for the athletics department, and it's a different laugh all day long, every single day.
I can tell. Between you and everybody else on the team, I can tell. It's just a lot of fun.
Coach!
That's really what it's all about.
How's it going?
So you tell me, the fun part about this job for you is you knew a lot of these people before you arrived. Now you're just with them in the office on a regular basis.
Yeah, just through all the sportscasting with covering, Miners and Aggies and the Battle of I-10. You get to meet everybody, as you know, because you know the same people. And then after I left TV, they were like, hey, you getting tired of watching those Law and Order reruns? I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess. They said, well, come work for the Aggies. And I jumped at that because, the football team with the back-to-back bowl games, and Coach Hooten's an excellent X's and O guy. Baseball team's on the rise. Saw what the softball team did in the conference tournament. Oh, my God. Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, and UTEP people are going to get mad at me, the hospitality room at the Conference USA softball tournament was off the charts.
Really?
Oh, my goodness. They had the nice wraps, with the chicken inside with the salad and the nice dressing. You had an assortment, all kinds of drinks. Now, I know UTEP's got everything in there, but I'm just saying, for a softball tournament.
They did well.
Oh, my God. Yeah, it was delicious. Delicious.
You felt like you were right at home.
It's the only reason I went. Word gets around fast, boy. Those text messages.
God.
But, yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I still get to be around athletics, which is great. I still get to hang out with coaches. We get to talk about things that we couldn't talk about into microphones.
That's right. What people don't also know is this is not your first run in sales. You sold for us many, many years ago when you were working for about a year or so with us, the radio station, and that was your first go-around, and then you went to Phoenix, came back, and now here you are, second time around in sales.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, Cap. So many people forget that. And I'll tell you, Brad Dubois, and you, Georgina, everybody else at the Q at the time, you weren't there yet, Adrian, but the things that I learned there, I'm applying to that now. 10 years later, 15 years later? So yeah, it's I'll never forget those days, because what I learned from Brad and from the staff you have over there, I'm applying it right now. It's amazing.
Lou, you keeping up with any other sports other than college athletics?
Nope, just the Yankees, and that's it.
Okay,
I have no interest. I am bitter on.
Let's talk about the Yankees.
I tried to tell. Wait a minute. I tried to tell Lane. Okay, that sports stink. Sports stink right now. When you think about it, when you look at it, I don't want to hear how great the NFL is. It stinks. Okay, the NBA, I have no interest. I'll watch baseball because I like thinking man's game. You know, when you got to think a little bit, okay, what happens? The ball's in here, what do I do? There's 2 on, okay, we got a righty in the bullpen, whatever. So that I enjoy, but even that is starting to disappear for me. So the only real sport that I will pay attention to, aside from my job, of course, with New Mexico State, is college football, and even now that's getting ruined. We don't have a Pac-12 anymore, which became the Pac-20, the Pac-37, whatever it is. Now it's a Pac-2. Do they even have a Pac-12 anymore? A Pac whatever it is?
They don't. They have a Pac-2.
Yeah. So I've had it. The whole landscape is absolutely ridiculous, and I'll tell you why it bothers me the most. It's because of UTEP and New Mexico State, and here's what I mean. Adrian, let's pretend that you are a linebacker at XYZ High School. Okay, Steve is the head coach or a coach at UTEP. Okay, he sees you play or sees the video that you sent him. You want to go to his school, blah, blah, blah. So he comes to watch you play. He's like, geez, Adrian, is anybody else talking to you? No, actually, I'm not getting recruited by anybody. So Steve at UTEP or NMSU or any mid-major decides to recruit you and sign you, and you go play for Steve. So now Steve's coaching staff develops you, trains you, our food, our weights. I put you in a position on this team to succeed. And you end up being first team all conference. Oh, all of a sudden, Arizona State calls. Here comes U of A. Here comes UCLA. And you bail on him and you go with no penalty. If you're going to do that, fine. You can go to U of A. U of A, you got to send me $50,000, a quarterback, and give me 2 backup running backs. Why aren't we doing that?
Well, because they're not doing it with coaches, right?
Well, what do the coaches have to do? That's a whole separate discussion. What I'm saying is he took a gamble on you, and you did really well because of Steve. If it's not for Steve, you're not playing. So now you bail on him, which is fine. You're going to go do the NIL and get recruited. You became the minor league. In any other industry, any other business or sport, there's a penalty.
The only other compensation for coaches leaving would be buyouts. So if you have a big buyout, then at least the school gets something back from the coach or the other university to get their next coach hired.
Yeah, if you're going to treat them like pros, then let's start doing it like pros. If I'm doing the weathercast at Channel 7 and I'm on a 2-year contract, and 6 months later, the ABC in Dallas calls and says, Lou, we want you. If I go, that station has to pay the El Paso station to get me over there. In any industry, if you break your non-compete or whatever it might be, there's compensation. How come we don't have compensation in college sports if we're paying these guys now as pros?
Okay, I got to get to a break.
Yeah.
Keep this seat warm. Mario is supposed to join us at 5, but I don't think he's here yet. So
I passed him on I-10.
Oh, you
I
did?
went right by him.
Oh, good. So he'll be here.
Yeah, he was
soon.
going the wrong way.
That sounds about right. That sounds like Mario. Okay, we're going to come back. Hopefully, if we'll either have Mario Mocha or Lou Romano back with us as well to begin hour number 2 live here, Elephant Ranch Bar on Picacho. It's Sports Talk at 600 ESPN El Paso.
I'm untucking it just.
Hour number 2 here on Sports Talk. We got 1 hour to go, along with Adrian Broadus, Alberto Dueta. I'm Steve Kaplowitz. And first off, we are live out at the Elephant Ranch Bar out here on Picacho for the very special Tepazan Tequila unveiling in conjunction with New Mexico State Athletics. In fact, the man that is responsible for this and every other New Mexico State food and beverage item that has been licensed over the last 4 or 5 years is with us right now. He's Director of Athletics, Mario Mocha. Good to see you. You look very comfortable. You're in your New Mexico State athletic T-shirt with shorts on and crimson shoes. You're all Aggied out, but you look like you're dressed for summer, and we look like we're dressed here for work.
You know, when you guys came into the office to stop in, that's why I gave you your pullovers, which I would wear untucked personally. Adrian got it, but you're professional, so you wanted to tuck yours in.
Sorry about that.
But slacks, Cap, it's 100 degrees outside. It's a tequila event, so I had to put on short. I hope Jim Center isn't listening, because he would chastise me for wearing short pants. And now this isn't a T-shirt. This is an upgraded T-shirt, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say that's kind of like it's called a performance T-shirt.
Nice. All right. Well,
that's right.
Okay. Well, anyway. I'm going to be out here for a while, so I wanted to be a little comfortable, and we're pushing our latest product, and we're really excited about it.
Tell us about that product, because I know people are wondering. tequila, New Mexico State. This is not even your first tequila rodeo, but this one is a little special because you've got the bottle devoted to you to the school.
We do. Cap, we started this in 2016, 2017 with Pistol Pete's 1888 Ale, and we've had over 15 products since then. And from the alcohol category, we've had our rye whiskey, Pistol Pete's 6-shooter. We've got our Aggie Rita, the margarita with mixed up cocktail company. We've got our hard seltzer. We've got our Crimson Legacy, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of our fans were like, come on, we're New Mexico State. When are we going to get a tequila? Well, in order to have a real tequila product, you have to have a plant in Mexico. So believe it or not, we found a donor and an alum of New Mexico State who was in the restaurant business in New York and LA, partners with the Jonas Brothers, etc. But he lives in Cruces. And we had lunch across the street, and I pitched him the idea, and he's like, well, let's talk about it. And, here we are today with Tepazon Tequila's The Crimson Edition. And I really think it's going to be a huge success because a portion of our the licensing fee, or I should say the licensing fee, goes to all of our 16 sports and 400 student athletes. So we can really hit a lick with all the sales of the product.
How many now are we talking about? Is this the 16th product that you've licensed?
You know what? I should probably have counted them up before here, but we had a cookie, we've had the candle, we had a water, we've had a lot of pecan, pistachios, you name it.
Salsa?
That's right, salsa. That's right. Do you remember we came to the campus a couple of years ago and we did a taste test for all of the different Aggie-sponsored products? Do you remember that?
Cap, my mother, my 93-year-old mother in Surprise, Arizona, I taught her how to get YouTube on. She must watch that. She goes, I watched that product thing again. That boy was so nice you were with. And I'm like, Steve Kaplowitz, he's okay. But yes, I'm very well aware because my mother, whatever views that has, half of those views are from Elena Mocha in Surprise, Arizona.
That's awesome. Mario, when it comes to just being out here at Elephant Ranch Bar, this is a beautiful venue. We've already got a chance to talk to so many different coaches, so many different people. Lou Romano, what's it like just being out here and having a chance to embrace the community here ahead of the big tequila launch?
Well, I think here's the reality. If you've been aware of New Mexico State athletics, this is kind of our hallmark. We make it a point to be out in the community, to do things like this as often as we can. Happy hours, goal line club events, mountain sports events, you name it. We're not in, obviously a major metropolitan city like in Albuquerque or in El Paso. So you're going to see your people at the grocery store, at the bank, etc. So I think the way to do it is create a lot of friends. And then you hope you have a 7-win season and a 10-win season, then you get people excited, and then products like this just prime the pump a little bit more. They want to come out. They want to buy products. So, yeah, I love doing this. At my heart, I'm an external guy. That's how I got my start in this business, and doing stuff like this is great. And then, I texted probably over 200 people, and a lot of people are, looking forward to, oh, man, that sounds great. I'm going to come. So, look, it's got to be fun and to invite people to be around their friends, right? I can't control the winning, but I can control the party. And if I can have an event at a place where you're going to have a bunch of fun and so on and so forth, hey, hopefully that leads to ticket sales and Aggie Athletic Club donation, et cetera, et cetera.
I'll say this, there's not much left. You've pretty much run the gamut. I was thinking during the interview, Aggie popcorn hasn't been done yet. Maybe that'll happen down the road.
Now, Cap, one of the 6 pistachio products from Heart of the Desert is an Aggie popcorn.
Is it really?
Yeah, and it's got a chili flavor on it. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll cross that one off the list. Potato chips.
Have not done that.
Tortilla chips.
Can I tell you what we almost did?
Yes.
But then we ran into a snag, Pistol Pete's chorizo.
Really?
Yes, we had a meat processor in Roswell who talked to us. There's a meat lab at New Mexico State, so we kind of decided we didn't want to necessarily step on toes, so we put that on the shelf. We talked about an Aggie milk in a glass bottle, but it was unpasteurized. So I don't know how well that would go over. But they were Aggie alums, great people. I think their last name was Vanderploeg, and they were from Portales. They talk like they were from the old country, but they were New Mexico State grads. They were great. And there was one other thing that we kicked around. It'll come to me as we're talking. So
How about Aggie chocolate?
yeah, I guess that's a possibility. We got the chocolate chip and pecan cookie, but yes, we could have maybe an Aggie chocolate. Man, there was one other thing I can't remember, but
You haven't done Aggie soda yet. You have not done like a soda.
you know what? There is a soda company, and we've got that Pepsi contract, so we kind of have to be careful. I reached out to them, and you know what? I didn't get. I think it was the Zia Soda Company or the Zia something company,
Yes.
but. Yes, Cap. If I'm in my infinite amount of spare time, I will add more products.
By the way, you have uttered a comment that already listeners have taken note, and I have just received a message that there should be a bumper sticker that says the following: I can't control the winning, but I can control the party. Brian from downtown loved that so much. He said that right there. That's gold. You should market that line and turn that into the biggest party in college athletics.
Well, I appreciate Brian, but, if you go to an Aggie game, I have that AD's patio, and it's become, it's a slab of concrete. But people are like, how do I get on that? Well, we invite our donors. Our multimedia rights partner, Van Wagner, invites their sponsors. There's a bunch of but it's like a social event.
It is.
And, there is a finite amount of people who are actively watching the game. So that's why I tape all the games, because I'm talking, I'm socializing. Obviously, I'm living, dying with every play out of the corner of my eye. But that's what my boss always taught me and us, and he birthed about 18 athletic directors out there. We can't control what goes on the field, but we can control everything else. And we sure as hell can throw a big party. And what do you want to do? You want to go where your friends are. Right, if winning or losing is a big motivator, hey, let's go where your friends are. Let's have a big party. Let's have alcohol involved.
Yeah.
You can have some beers and so on and so forth. And then if you have some success, boy, then it can really take off, because then it's a party and it's winning.
When it comes to just this, the fall, Mario, are you guys ready to go as far as everything goes? We got soccer right around the corner, volleyball right around the corner, and then football kicks off here in the first week of September.
Yeah, I always say I'll be ready about 6 o'clock on August the 31st for that first football game. But it is here. We've got our volleyball. We're excited about soccer. They had 2 years ago coming off a WAC tournament championship. Last year coming off a Conference USA regular championship. They were picked second in the league this year behind Liberty. We've got we've got Oregon and USC coming into Las Cruces. The last time Oregon was here for a sport, I'm guessing, was never, and the same as USC. I don't think those two schools have ever been in Las Cruces for anything, but we have them both on our home pitch in soccer, and we've got UNM and UTEP. So we've got a tremendous home schedule. Rob's got a really good squad. I think we're going to challenge. I think we have an opportunity to challenge for a Conference USA championship in volleyball as well. I know Western Kentucky's great. I know Ben does a great job at UTEP, but I think we've got some firepower. So it's all starting out, and I think we're ready. We got a small staff, but they're excited.
Hey, we tried getting Payne Andrews to spill the beans on the men's basketball schedule. He thought we discussed Texas. He wouldn't share any other details. He did say there's been some potential good home games that fans are excited about. Can you spill the beans on any of those games?
I won't usurp Coach Hoot, but we're going to UNLV,
okay.
Right? We're going to Texas. We're doing that WAC challenge with Conference USA. So I think we're maybe Cal Baptist in Utah.
Something like that.
Utah, maybe it's Utah Valley and Utah Tech. I'm
he
not
mentioned
sure.
2 Utah schools, so that's probably.
Cap, I am glad you threw me a basketball question as I'm trying to load up for the fall. But I know that, Coach Hooten is like, man, it's tough getting games here. I'm like, Coach, I know we had a down year last year, but before you got here, Jans was like 132-28. So we're already geographically challenged, and I think our winning percentage in the building is like 82% over the last, maybe even decade with Paul and Marvin. So yeah, it's always hard getting home games, but I know Coach is doing everything he can to try to bolster up the schedule. But Cap, if you look, Marvin and then Paul and then Jan, our home games against Division I opponents, it's gone down because those guys, it's just too hard to get them here.
When it comes to just Conference USA as a whole, Mario, give us the temperature for you as far as the league goes. What are you seeing from the league as a whole? For New Mexico State, into this league for the second year and third year. How do you see the future here for New Mexico State in this conference USA?
Well, I'm excited because obviously going into this year, we're going to have a 10-team league, right? Kennesaw State comes in. I think having a team in Atlanta really a lot of people are like, well, Kennesaw State, do I know them? So for universities, hey, there's a ton of Aggie alums, a ton of UTEP alums, and Atlanta is a major city in the United States. It's a hub. So you can actually touch a lot of your alums out there, which is phenomenal. And I know they've had tremendous success in some sports, and it's a great recruiting hub. The next year, we're going to have Delaware, and we're going to have Missouri State coming in. So what's intriguing to me, and we haven't really discussed this, but that opens up to me having divisions, right? And then just like what we did when I was at Mizzou in the Big 12, you're playing your division, right? You've got those 5, and then you're going to play 3 schools on the other side, right? Home and then away, and then in years 3 or 4, you're going to play the other 3 home and away. So you're going to have your 8-game home schedule, right? You play everybody. And, you keep your natural rivals, right? We'll be in UTEP's league or UTEP's division. And I think, while nobody said that's what we're doing, I think it opens up doing that for the future.
How do you like playing UTEP the last week of the season in college football? Do you want to make this an annual thing?
No.
Tell me why.
Okay, and here's why. And I know a lot of our fans are like, we're playing on traditional rivalry week.
Yep.
And that's great. But, Cap, historically, I don't want to speak for UTEP, but historically, New Mexico State has not had tremendous football success. And where our interest lies in September and early October, when hope springs eternal and the weather is really good. While we have had tremendous success over the last 2 years, I would be fearful that we haven't necessarily maybe established ourselves where no matter who we're playing, we're going to get a tremendous crowd November 30th. Maybe we will. And when we played UTEP, I think it was it 2019 or something like that? I know New Mexico State won, but it was a late season game, and we had a decent crowd for that game, way more than what we've had for other late season games. So we're always going to have a good crowd. We're always going to promote the heck out of it. But I don't know if our winning is mature enough. If we have a down season, we'll still have that tremendous crowd.
For rivalry week, though, it's just so interesting because, like you mentioned, I think that game that you mentioned right there, Kyle Ox, who was UTEP's quarterback, Mario, New Mexico State won that game pretty handily, but it was back and forth. It was very close.
Yep.
If these two teams are actually playing relevant football in November,
then
we're
that's
talking
a
about
story.
a huge deal.
That's
right?
a different story. Now, if you could both I'm just making up a number, but let's say both teams had 5 wins. And that's one for bowl eligibility.
Oh, enormous.
Then it's changing the calculus, right?
Yeah.
Even if one of them has.
Yeah, exactly. Or, if one team is having a great year, the other team not. So what I think we need to do is really promote, what I would like to do is promote the heck out of that game to the UTEP fans. I always think, and I get it, people are like, I remember in 1980 somebody called me a so-and-so. I have been to every UTEP game, and I have walked through the stands, and I haven't heard one negative word. The only time, I think it was, not this last year, but the last time we were at UTEP and we lost, you had to go to the presser, and you have all the fans right there, and they were, wasn't the most wonderful thing in the world. However, that's mild compared to other places I've been. So I have been treated great. And I think a lot of fans, I'll never go there. I would just hope that UTEP fans would come. It's an extra chance to see your team. Our ticket prices are extremely reasonable. And just drive down the highway and watch UTEP, for your 6th or 7th opportunity. So we need to do a better job of really promoting to the UTEP fans. We certainly do everything we can to promote to our fans. But I'm excited about that game. Personally, I'd like it earlier, but, we'll promote the heck out of it. And we're hopeful that we're having a great season leading into that game.
Maybe we can call it I-10's biggest party rivalry and make it one of those, like when you used to go to Texas OU and you went for the party weekend because it was known to be the biggest party besides the big football game rivalry. Do the same thing with UTEP and New Mexico State.
Well, what I think maybe a lot of fans aren't tracking is that the multimedia rights partner for UTEP is Van Wagner, and that is our new multimedia rights partner. So now that there's some synergy, and Matt LeBranch, our GM, came from UTEP. Obviously, you talked to Lou Romano, which is our head sales guy, and obviously food critic after I heard his interview.
Yes, but good. He was very happy with the wraps.
He was happy with the food. I was very pleasant. of that. But I think there's an opportunity to get a major sponsor for the Battle of I-10 and really have a point system.
That'd be
So,
nice.
at the end of the year, maybe a softball game is, tilts the balance on who wins. So I think that would be something that would give you guys stuff to talk about.
We'd enjoy that.
Yeah, volleyball, soccer, and you keep track all year.
Well, I know one thing. You got a tequila tasting that gets underway here officially in about 10 minutes, 5:30 to 9 o'clock out here at Elephant Ranch Bar. We love being here. We got Adam Young right around the corner, and just a lot of fun. Anytime we can have a chance to drive up the road here on 10 and come see you guys, we always love that.
Well, I tell you what, I appreciate it. Obviously, I know you're located right in the heart of the UTEP Miners, but a lot of our Aggie fans listen. When I told our Aggie fans that you guys were coming down here for a live shot, they were like, oh, man, I just think, because we don't have this cap here. So when you guys come, it lends an air of being more big time because we just got a sports writer. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. We hadn't had a sports writer since before we beat Auburn in football. So I was going to make a snarky comment, but I was like, I'm not going to get off on the wrong foot with this guy. But I'm really excited anytime we get coverage from El Paso because, that's a huge market, TV, radio. So I really appreciate, from Aggie Nation, thank you guys for coming down. I appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks for having us, and we'll look forward to enjoying some tequila with you here soon enough.
When you go across the state line, you might want to change those shirts. I don't want you to get in trouble when you get back.
Lou Romano said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know what? He saw it. He goes, well, you can't wear that. I go, what do you mean I can't wear that? He goes, you can't wear that shirt while you're around. I go, we'll be all right.
It looks good. I love it.
Well, thank you.
It's comfortable.
That's
Very
why I gave it to you. I'm not going to give you some
Hey, by the way,
Hanes
I'm gonna wear
Beefy
this.
T-shirt. I'm going to give you high quality Under Armour.
Look at this.
Three-quarter
I
zip.
took it out. It's tucked out now.
Yes, you can
There
golf
it is.
with it. You can wear it to meetings.
I'm going to wear
Fantastic.
this. I'll wear this. I promise.
Well, I'm glad. Would you post a picture of both of you guys wearing it and let the
let's
fans
post all together.
decide?
Let's post all
I
together.
think we should.
Yeah.
He's Mario Mocha. He joins us here on Sports Talk. Adam Young is next. We are live. Elephant Ranch here in Las Cruces. Tepazon Tequila, New Mexico State. It's a party, and we're a part of it. Sports Talk with Charlie 600 ESPN El Paso. Yes. We try to make Tim as uncomfortable as possible during our last segment of the show. Sometimes it works. Sometimes he's very quick to fire it back at us. But, Adrian, we've uncovered so much about Tim Haggerty over the years. It's remarkable.
We found out what makes him tick.
Okay.
What his family likes, what his family has, first dates with his significant other.
That's right.
I mean,
Wow.
man, we've really dove head first into everything Tim Haggerty.
He never gets flustered.
No.
We've had him fill in for us on men's basketball radio. He's done sidelines for us in a fill-in role. And I listen to ESPN Radio El Paso all the time to listen to you guys and also to listen to Hags. If I'm in the car, I'm listening to your radio station for you guys and for Hags. And if I'm in the same breath as him, I'll take that comparison.
No doubt. And listen, it's great to have you back. I mean, you're right. Football season's right around the corner. Fall sports season is here. You've been going to a lot of Aggie football practices with Coach Tony Sanchez, who started our show off today and joined us. What are some of your observations from fall football camp?
It's been really smooth. I remember 2 years ago when Jerry started, things took a little while, right? I mean, it was a new regime. Practices were a little rocky to start, where everybody should be. The drills, nobody was there to really teach them as far as the player side because everybody was new, and the coaches were trying to feel each other out. So it's been a smooth transition because Tony was here. The offensive line is pretty much the exact same as far as personnel. The O-line coach is back, and it seems like the new coaches, the new players, they've mixed in well. So I've been impressed. Things have gone smooth. They've been quicker practices. I feel like it's about 2 hours. They get in, they get out, they get their work in. Talked to Tony a couple times out there at practice. He feels good about where they're at. 10 wins a year ago, so a lot to build off of from last year.
When it comes to this team, let me say if I'm a skeptic, right? And I'm just looking at this team on paper, Adam, and I'm thinking to myself, well, the bulk of the talent feels gutted right here. And it seems like the returning talent on this roster right here, yes, it is the carryover from last year's historic finish, but is it going to be, another winning season, or is it something that needs to be looked at more as a rebuild? How does this coaching staff kind of approach that aspect that, hey, this team had so much success last year, you don't want to make it a full rebuild, but you do really want to set the foundation for the future?
Well, I will say this. You go back to last year, they could have easily had 12 wins. Hawaii, they let slip away. UMass was kind of a dud on opening night. I mean, they could have easily gotten those 2 games. So they could have had 12 a year ago. The 2 components I really like going into this year, I've never seen the New Mexico State offensive line be this good and this experienced. And Jerry Kill always said, we'll go as the O-line goes. And 2 years ago, a little rocky to start. Last year improved as the year went on. They have everybody back. Their left tackle, Shiaz Pete, is an NFL guy in the future. He'll play on Sundays. The center, Kanan Yarrow, is getting a ton of accolades. A.J. Vaipulu at left guard is awfully good. Those guys have a lot of FBS football under their belt. And then the running back room. The running back room could very well be better than it was a year ago. They feel like they might have upgraded there. Mike Washington is in from Buffalo. He's a projected NFL guy, 225, fast as lightning as well. And then McGowan from Oklahoma, he can go. And then Monte Watkins is back. Tim Gann's got some touches the last 2 years. I feel like there is depth still at running back, and you combine that with how good and experienced the O-line is, they might not have to throw the football more than 15 times a game because of how good their running backs are, their O-line is. They're going to be able to run the football effectively, and there's going to be a lot of one-score games in the end like last year and like the year before. So can they win those close games down the stretch in the fourth? That's the big question.
I know defense is a little inexperienced coming into this season. They have guys that were on the team that play, just not starters, so there's a lot of new starters this year. Would you say that the game plan could be ball control, try to keep the defense off the field as much as possible, choose some clock, mix in some passes, and try to make it as easy on the Aggie defense as you can make it?
Possibly, but, this time last year we were talking about how inexperienced the linebacker group was, and they were needing Keyshawn Elliott, who was a sophomore, to be the guy. And he turned into the guy. So I do think some players will develop that maybe we're not talking about right now. The secondary looks really good. It's a relatively new secondary. They bring back Keontae Clinton and Dylan Early, but they added in a couple of Power 4 transfers in Josiah Cox, and then Session as well. Session is in from Oklahoma State. He's been really good in camp. So, the portal changes everything. Maybe names that Aggie fans don't know about yet will burst onto the scene, I think, for that season opener against SEMO.
So if tomorrow was August 31st, who's the starting quarterback in your eyes?
Oh, boy. Putting me on the spot.
I like that.
I knew
Good
this
job,
would happen. Look at you, Adrian. And I think Parker Awad had a really good spring. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Diego as far as body type and his ability to improvise. He can throw and he can also run. He's only a sophomore, hasn't played yet at the FBS level. I think if you asked people back in the spring, going into the spring, they would probably say Deuce Hogan, the transfer from Kentucky. So those two guys are in the heat of it. McNamara from UTEP has looked good. I've liked what I've seen from him out at camp. And then Santino Marucci, who's in from Wake Forest, he missed spring ball, so he might be behind the 8 ball. But I like what he can do in the future as well. He won games a couple times as a starter at the high-end FBS level. So they have options. The quarterback room, since I've been here, has not been this deep where you have 3 or 4 guys still competing this time of the year.
You could still see this, though, as a 6 or 7 win team, couldn't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the schedule, it's tough, but the home schedule is really good. You get Liberty at home. Of course, you have SEMO in the opener. You get UTEP and UNM both at home. We know how tough those road games are and rivalry games. So I like the way the schedule shakes out. And my thing, too, guys, is remember last year they started a little bit slow. The Hawaii game was kind of demoralizing, I think, for the fan base. They let that one slip away. I'm not saying they're going to start, 2-1 or 3-0. So stick with them. Because it may take a little bit of time, right? With this many new pieces trying to fit into the mix.
I want to ask you about Andre Selden, just a tragic passing away of a former New Mexico State cornerback. Just your thoughts on this one right here. Tragic for a 22-year-old right there.
I got to know Andre well. Sometimes you call the games for these players and maybe you talk to them a couple times, you interview them once or twice. I did a lot of interviews with Andre, got to know him well, and he really bought into the hard hat lunch pail Jerry Kill mantra. There's a picture on social media of Andre walking onto the plane with a lunch pail. He was all about hard hat lunch pail. He was a Jerry Kill old school throwback kind of a guy. There's another picture on social media when they beat Auburn. They're walking off the field. Jerry's about to go shake the hand of Hugh Freeze, and guess who has his arms around Jerry Kill? It's Andre Selvin. Salt of the earth. He was at Michigan. He was a Michigan guy. He's from Detroit. He was a Michigan guy. Didn't work out at Michigan, but I remember Jerry saying he called Jim Harbaugh, and Jim couldn't say nice enough things about Andre. He just said our defensive back room is too deep. He comes here, they move him to nickelback, and he shined. And, tragic. Thoughts and prayers with Andre and his family. His dad, his dad reached out a couple times when he was playing the last 2 years. And, just horrible news. And I really got to know Andre well, so that one stung.
I don't want to end this on a down note, but on the flip side, you see everybody out here right now. There's a lot of buzz here with the tequila drop with Tepazon Tequila. In fact, Matthew Hector is going to join us from Tepazon here to wrap us up as we end the show. But this goes to show you already, I feel like there is a certain kind of buzz in the air locally with fans, the program, the school, and just kind of getting ready to continue where things left off last year.
I agree. The new video board looks great, and I hope they fill the stadium on August 31st against SEMO. This team deserves it. This coaching staff deserves it. And I'll say this about Tony Sanchez. His blood, sweat, and tears are on that field. It is very rare at the FBS level to have an alum of your program leading your program. There aren't many that have that. And Tony knows how much the UTEP rivalry means. He knows how much the UNM game means. We did an interview with him 2 years ago at practice on a Tuesday, and he had just given a speech to the team about one of the rivalries. I can't remember which one. He comes over, and guys, he has blood across his nose. And I said, Tony, are you good? It seems like your nose is cracked. You have blood across it. Oh, yeah, I just gave a speech to the team, and I think I might have hit somebody's helmet in excitement. I mean, that's the passion that he has for this place, for those rivalries. You don't have to teach the Battle of I-10 or the Rio Grande rivalry to Tony Sanchez. He played in it. He's coached in it. He lived it. His blood, sweat, and tears are on that Aggie Memorial Stadium field. So, it's one of their own. If you're an Aggie, it's one of your own. And, I hope everybody comes out to support on August 31st and then beyond. Awesome. Adam, thanks for joining us. We appreciate the insight, and we'll look forward to seeing you back on TV before long. Guys, great to see you. Thanks so much. Adam Young, folks, as we continue. We'll wrap things up, and Matthew Hector from Tepazon Tequila will join us. That's why we're here. The tequila launch at Elephant Ranch Bar in Las Cruces continues. 600 ESPN El Paso. Final countdown here on Sports Talk as we wind things up today from Elephant Ranch Bar here on Picacho in Las Cruces. And I'm excited about our final two guests because they're a big reason why we are here today in conjunction with New Mexico State. Dylan Nunn, this is his establishment here at Elephant Ranch, and Matthew Hector with Tepazon Tequila. Gentlemen, welcome aboard. Great to have you both here, and thanks for the time.
Wow, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Honored to be here.
Well,
glad everyone showed up today.
You got a great crowd. It's just going to get even bigger and bigger. Dylan, tell me a little bit about Elephant Ranch. We've been here since about 3 o'clock when we arrived and first met you, but we love the establishment. It's a unique place and reminds me a lot of some place in Hatch I've been to before.
Yeah, you're probably talking about my parents' place, Sparky's. This is the same thing. We really focus on atmosphere, limited menu. I say limited, but now it's a double cider, so it's getting out of hand. But you just want to do something really quality, but be able to serve 200 people at a time if you can, and keep it consistent. And like today, I gotta say the Aggies are punctual. We're supposed to, the event started at 5:30. I showed up at 5:25 after setting up the bar a lot earlier and all that other stuff. And there's already a packed house here.
We've described this really the inside where we are. Well, I guess it's an outdoor patio, but you have a roof on top. You also have a garden right next to it. What would be the best way for people from El Paso that have never been here to Elephant Ranch? How would you like to describe it?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that we do, and I'm sure there's other bars that do this too, but we squeeze all our own juices. So we actually have fresh squeezed lime juice from limes, because there's also a gallon that says fresh squeezed lime juice, and it is, I guess, but it's just not the same. So we squeeze our lime juice, we squeeze our grapefruits. Our margaritas are great. The palomas are awesome. The Moscow Mule is considerably, one of the best around. And obviously, like, to get paired up with Tepazon and to give us a tequila to play with, we've come up with some fun cocktails, and it's just like right down our alley.
Well, Matthew, that brings you into the game. Matthew Hector with us from Tepazon Tequila. We're so excited about this. When Mario told me that he had a tequila he was getting to collaborate with, I had to find out who it was with. When I saw Tepazon, I got excited. You guys score very, very high. You're in the additive-free tequila world, but there might not be people from this area that know everything about Tepazon. They will after tonight, won't they?
Well, let's hope so. Hopefully people are drinking a lot of it and enjoying it. Wanted to say thank you to Dylan for hosting us tonight. Again, I think this is the start of a long partnership. We particularly love Elephant Ranch because they also have the package license. So you can try the cocktails here, you can try the tequila here, and then ultimately go next door and buy a bottle, which is very unique. Really, even outside of New Mexico, it's very uncommon. So we're excited to start partnering with these guys and doing a lot more events like this. And, the goal at the end of the day is supporting New Mexico State athletics. So a sizable percentage of every bottle sold is actually going back to the New Mexico State athletics program. And then beyond that, we have a lot of activations coming up over the fall and into the spring to support, the sports program even more broadly. So we've got a golf tournament coming up. We've got some charity events that we're working on that we're really excited. And my partner Chris and I started this company in 2018. We're both from Las Cruces. We both went to New Mexico State. His parents were actually professors at New Mexico State, so there's very deep roots here for the university. And we're excited to be here and finally get this thing going.
How would you describe Tepazon Tequila for people that have not tried it yet?
Yeah, so if you're pretty layman when it comes to tequila, I would say about 85% of it right now is using artificial flavors, colors, glycerin, added sugar. It's unfortunate, and I think,
You're naming all things I hate when it comes to tequila. So this is...
That's all stuff that makes you feel like crap. So I think, the whole hangover concept, a lot of it is driven by these additives. There's actually a study done by... The NBA actually commissioned UCLA to do a study for their athletes. What's the healthiest thing that a human can consume? And what they came back with is additive-free tequila. Your body can actually metabolize it in 24 hours.
Well, don't tell me that.
I mean, just let's get going, Dylan. We need some shots at the table. But it's easily the healthiest thing you can drink, and I'm not sure there's any scientific proof behind it, but people usually describe it as more of an upper. I think you drink whiskeys and bourbons, darker spirits, and usually, sometimes people go to dark places with that. But I think with tequila, celebrating, I think that's the concept. But Tepazon, we're a very, very fortunate to have our own distillery. We grow all of our own agave, which is very uncommon. Our master distiller, Don Carlos, is actually the farmer. He's been growing in the Highlands, which is the most prestigious growing area, for 30 years. So we start with the farming principles, and I think that's what sets Tepazon apart from other brands.
Farm to bottle.
What's that?
Farm to bottle.
Farm to bottle, yeah. I think we're one of the only real farm to bottle tequilas on the market, actually. So,
and for people that will get a chance to try this tequila, in particular the collaboration with New Mexico State, it's so unique because you have the Aggie logos on the bottle. This is something that really has never been done before from a college athletic department as far as tequila goes.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of things are changing with the NIL programs, and I think, it's opened up a lot of opportunities beyond what's going on with the athletes where we can support these universities more. So we're really excited. It's the first time we've actually done a co-branded label. We've had people approach us about it, but I think with our roots in the community, it's something that really resonated with us, and we really wanted to do that. and incorporated a little piece of New Mexico into what we're doing ultimately because we're from here and we are such a part of the community. He and I, Chris Brandon, my partner, and I we both left here right after college. I've been back for the last 5 or 6 years, and so especially with me living here, it made a lot of sense for us.
Now, we're excited, Matthew, and really, Dylan, excited also for the fact that you're going to sell it in bottles and also let people try it as well. Not just tonight, but it's going to be here on the menu at Elephant Ranch.
Yeah, so what we do here, another thing, too, about the bar is we don't have what you would call a well. So if you said, hey, can I get a margarita, but I don't want the well, well, that's not an issue here because we always have good tequila, good vodka, good bourbon. And our package store, I mean, I've never got out a ruler or anything, but it's got to be 400 square feet. So every single thing in that package store that costs more than $10, I've had it. I've tried it. And we actually, back to the additive-free tequila, we have one shelf of just additive-free tequila, which obviously this tequila will be on that shelf. We just had 40 cases of this tequila land today.
Awesome.
So thankful it landed because you never know on that. But I've already tried it. I love it. We've been playing with cocktails. And like I said, we got a couple cocktails, and we'll do some pours tonight. But I just think it's a win-win. And also, I'm a season ticket holder for the basketball games. I love going to those. I'm too tall and skinny to have ever played football, so basketball is kind of more my thing. And we've done some events with NMSU before, and now we have additive-free tequila, NMSU, and Elephant Ranch. And I don't know if you're familiar, but we're actually open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're not open all week. But what that allows us to do is to open up with the dream team. My coworkers are some of the best hardworking people on the planet. And we just run hard 3 days a week, but obviously for NMSU and Tepazon, we got to fire it up on a Thursday, man.
I love it. Guys, we appreciate you wrapping us up. We got a baseball game right now. Chihuahuas are getting ready to start, but thanks again for having us. Thanks for telling us the story and excited about the future with the partnership that you have.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to throw the address, 3995 West Picacho.
There it is. That's it. And also, find Elephant Ranch. You can Google it. You'll see it. It'll give you everything you need.
They got a great Instagram.
Yeah,
check out the Instagram.
Really appreciate that. Yeah, my business partner Derek, he does the Instagram. He takes the photos. We're in-house from top to bottom.
Terrific. Gentlemen, thanks again.
Thank you so much.
We're out of time. Great job, everybody. We'll do it again tomorrow. Chihuahuas baseball next.